it will eliminate your rent. 90% of most people's biggest bill is their rent. I know these car payments is getting crazy. So, if you can pay your car off, get rid of the car payment. But either way, this will. Peace, y'all. Brother Derek here with another video. Hope everybody's doing well. I thank y'all for watching, liking, and subscribing to the channel. And if you haven't yet, please do. Love to have you. I'll continue making this great content for y'all that'll get y'all motivated, inspired, and just in the right mindset to get your first property, to get in the game, But also, I make these videos to help you guys better your life and give you guys all the things that help me get to where I am in my life, you know. So here we are. So this video I'm gonna be talking about why I hate jobs, but you should keep them. You should keep them until you get to a certain place, and we're gonna talk about that in the end of the video. So, but I hate jobs. I do. I hate jobs. I hate it. Having them, and I'm okay. Like, I'm not gonna say like I'm the first person to quit a job, but I will say like overall they suck. And y'all don't need me to tell y'all they suck. Most of y'all, know that for yourselves. But I've met several people, surprisingly, that said I love my job. I don't really know if they was being honest though. But people be like, yeah, I love my job, and my mom would tell me that, and I'm just like, that's nice. I don't really know how. I never had that before. I don't know what that feel like, but that got to be good to love your job. And I'm sure it's people that do love their job, especially people that like have their own businesses, Because like I love what I do, but I don't call this a job. And I consider a job, when you going somewhere, like you working for somebody else, and you doing something for money, or for pay, something like that. I consider that a job. But like if you, have your own business, or if you created something that helps somebody else and you get paid for it, I don't really consider that a job. I consider that like a business, or, you're working in your passion. But that's just me, I'm just labeling things differently. But either way, I don't like jobs, but I don't like them for several reasons. And for the first reason, I'll say, and I know a lot of y'all will understand this, is just for the time restraints. Like, I hate that. Like, I hate feeling like it's never enough time. And that's how I feel like on a job. Like, I feel like I was always rushing. I remember them days working at the car plant. Oh man, we had to be in by what was it, 7 it was either 7:18 or 7:48. No, it was 6:48. It was 6:48. We had to clock in at 6:48, and if you ain't clocking exactly at 6:48, you get like a couple warnings, and then you will get like a some kind of like disciplinary action. You would have to get an extra. If you get like 2 or 3, you get walked out or something like that for a couple days, no pay, which actually wasn't bad. For some people, like my wife would love to get walked out because she was like, I use the vacation. I need the vacation. I don't need the money right now. So, but me at the time, I needed the money. I was going through some things. I had made some bad choices. So that's why I wrote that book, Choose Wisely, because I made some bad choices. So I needed to be there to make the money so I could take care of those choices and responsibilities that my bad choices made. So, but we're in a different space, and that's why I'm making this video to help y'all. So back to it. So it was never enough time. I always felt like I was rushing to get to the clock. And then, once I got off of work, I was rushing to get my son, and I was rushing to go to the store, and I was rushing to go to the gym. And it just, I hate that. I hate the rush, and I hate being under that pressure all the time. And that's what it seems like you always are in when you are in that job system, that time system, because you work in either 8 hours, 12 hours, and then you got to sleep for 8 hours, 6 hours. So between that time, you got to try to squeeze all this stuff in, you know, kids, family, wife, you know, cooking, groceries, homework, you know, time for yourself. If you're working on a business, you got to squeeze that in because you got to wake up, because you got to go to sleep. You got to go to sleep because you got to wake up, and you got to, them 8 hours is locked in for that time for work. So, and you got to do it all over again. And then on the weekends, hopefully, if you wasn't like me, we was getting mandated on Saturdays. So, yeah. So the time restraints, y'all can relate, and I'm sure y'all know. And put in the comments below, y'all let me know what y'all think. Like, do you feel the same way with time restraints, or maybe not? Maybe you good. You can manage it. You know, you'll have issues. But me, I was struggling with the time restraints. The other thing is the pay. The pay is never enough. It's never enough. What they say, a job is just over broke, something like that. But it seemed like it was never enough, and it took forever to get paid. Like, I remember having jobs where I got paid every 2 weeks, and I hated that. Like, I hated that because you got to go without 2 weeks for getting paid. Now, my last job, at the car plant, we get paid every week. We got bonuses. It was cool. Like, the money was pretty good, but it just seemed like you had to wait forever to get paid, and then you were getting taxed. You got to pay taxes on your money. It just seemed like the more you work, the more you were taxed. And I remember like people would work a lot of overtime, and I worked overtime a couple of times, and I was starting to add it up, and I'm like, so if I work this extra 4 hours, I'm only gonna get an extra 150, even though I should be getting like 350 or something. Like the numbers wasn't numbering for me. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna just stay at home and chill. I ain't about to stay late, coming early just to y'all gonna take X amount of money. I'm good. I'm good. I ain't like. I feel like it was a lose lose. I'm staying late, so I'm gonna be more tired, less time, and I'm not getting all my money. I'm good. I'm good. And then the other thing I'm gonna say is the people, like the people, the coworkers. I know y'all know the coworkers could be so toxic. The people, the gossiping, and then it's just like we all in here together. Like I used to be, we all in here together. So why y'all making this harder than it gotta be? Like you ain't gotta add Joe junk in the mess. Like we already dealing with trash, and you just throwing trash on top of it with the gossiping and the jealousy and this person doing this, and you trying to get this person in trouble. And I'm like, and then you got the supervisors, and they always trying to point fingers. No one, like I remember I was working at the car factory. My supervisor knew the equipment that we were making the parts was broken. It was garbage. This stuff was not good stuff. But she still would call me in like, yeah, Derek, you ain't making your numbers. What happened today? I'm like, Shanice, the machine broke. We was down because the machines y'all having us make these materials and these parts with is trash. So why is that? Oh, man, y'all bringing me back to them times, man. I just be wanting to be like, man, y'all playing with me. Y'all know this stuff ain't working, but y'all gotta have somebody to point to, so y'all point at me. But it's what it is. And then I'm gonna just say the wear and tear, like the wear and tear on your body. Like me working in the car plant, I was getting hurt. People was hurting their knees. You standing on concrete. You're working with your body, and maybe y'all not. Maybe y'all working with your mind. Maybe y'all solving problems, and either way, it's stress on your mind and your body, and on your spirit, especially if it's somewhere you don't want to be. So and y'all let me know in the comments too. Like, is it just me, or is it is it have y'all experienced that too? With the people, and just the wear and tear on your body, and maybe just me because I worked at a car plant, so maybe the job I was doing was a little bit extreme versus some, but y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, y'all opinion on that. But yeah, these things, it is what it is. But with all that being said, I still feel like y'all should stay there, and I stayed there. I stayed at that job until I was able to finance my first property. But even before that, I would say jobs, even though we hate them and the people get on our nerves and the pay don't be right, this is your first investor. You should use this money to fund your dream, to fund your goal, to fund your business, or even just to plan your escape. Like whatever it is that you want to do, that you know you need to do, or know you want to do, use that money to fund that. Like they're your first investor. Unequivocally, you getting paid every week or every 2 weeks. So you have a constant stream of income that can cover these things, your bills, but also put some aside so that you can take care of, something that you want to do. You might want to start a business, or like I did, use the money to buy your first property and live in it. It will eliminate your rent. 90% of most people's biggest bill is their rent. I know these car payments is getting crazy. So, if you can pay your car off, get rid of the car payment. But either way, this will eliminate your rent. If you live in your first property, you buy a rental, duplex, 3-family, live in it, it can eliminate your rent. And then you could then slowly get out of that job. That's what I did. So that's why I'm telling y'all, even though we hate jobs, hang in there, because they'll help you. They will help you. And they'll make you a better person, believe it or not. Like, they'll help you deal with, it'll help you with people skills. It'll help you learn how to deal with these crazy people better, to help you with time management, because you have to get better with your time. If you're going to stay at a job and be successful, it will help you with time management, with conflict resolution, you know, managing your money, budgeting. Like, it helps you in so many ways if you let it. Because some people don't. They just complain and they just deal with it and they don't work on getting better. But I want y'all to use it as a stepping stone and get better. Look at it as this is just like I said, a stepping stone. This is just where I'm going to be. This is a vehicle that's going to get me to the next thing, and that's all it is. So use it to help you get better, and that's all this is about. Is just using this as a guide to get you to the next thing. It's just a place where you are temporarily until you get to the next thing. So use all of these things I'm telling you to get you there. And as I said, it'll help you buy your first property. You can use that guaranteed income, because once you quit that job and you start your own business, it's a little bit harder to buy a property in order to make, to get loans, because you don't have that stable income. Banks love stable income. So, you have that job, you can use that job, to buy a property. The banks love to see that. So, sacrifice. I moved back home with my mom. It was the hardest thing I had to do, but I moved back with Mom Dukes. I got my credit was good, and I was able to buy my first property. I stayed at home, pay her a little bit of rent, and I saved the money that I would have been paying rent. And I used that to save for my first house. I bought my first property. I eliminated rent, and I was able to quit my job like three months after that, because I kept getting hurt, so I couldn't stay there, much longer. So, so that's all this video is about. Is this, use your job as a stepping stone to get you to where you need to go. You might hate it, but it has a lot of good opportunities in there. So I love y'all. I'm gonna see you on the next video. I'm out, y'all. Peace.